Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about Module 38 today, one of my favorite things, eating. So, we're going to kind of get into the psychology of hunger and weight, kind of get into physical, the psychological, how do those both influence hunger and weight and those kind of things. So, pretty interesting stuff. Big thing is, we are obviously motivated to eat by many things. Some of it's physiological. Sometimes we physically need food, but also eating can be it can be behavioral. You can get into a habit or a routine of eating things, at a certain time, or you just, I'll admit, like every afternoon, I got my diet soda, and so part of that is, I'm probably on some level have some I don't know if addiction might be a hard word, but like I have some tolerance. I do crave caffeine, but some of it is just part of the routine. It's just this is what I do in the afternoon. Cognitive matters, so you kind of get into certain ways of thinking, and so sometimes people use food as a way to feel better. It's kind of a coping thing, but also environmental things like the people around you. If they're eating a lot, you might be more likely to eat a lot, and so there's a lot of things playing a role that influence how much you eat and when you eat and those kind of things. And obviously, you can see how it's related to emotions, and some people might eat more when they're depressed or eat less when they're depressed, or anxious or whatever. We in our culture, especially, we use food to foster relationships. Having a potluck or a barbecue or those kind of things. We definitely use those to build relationships. Everybody's got to eat, so we use that as a way to bring people together. This is kind of an interesting study, kind of looking at the different factors that play a role in hunger. Um, Obviously, the size of the stomach matters, and this was shown by a research study done by a guy named A.L. Washburn, who I don't know how he did this. He swallowed a balloon. It just makes me want to gag thinking about it. But he swallowed a balloon and then inflated it to fill his stomach. And then he wanted to see if his sorry, if his stomach would do anything when he was feeling hungry. And not surprisingly, he found that his stomach would have these little contractions when he felt hunger. There's a little bit more to it, but basically he found yes, the stomach does play a role in hunger. Now, it's not the only thing that plays a role in hunger, though, and so they've studied, mice where they take the stomach out, and it reduces hunger by a pretty fair margin, but it doesn't eliminate hunger entirely. So there's more to the story than just the stomach. I'm not going to get terribly into all the hormones and stuff. I'm going to try to keep this pretty simple, but you should know on a basic level that there are a bunch of hormones that at any given time, some of them are making you hungry and some of them are telling you to stop eating. And if you get those out of balance, and some people just naturally have more of one and less of the other, that can play a big role in weight gain. So you can see on the slide here which ones do what. The way that I remember that, you can kind of read this slide, but I'm not going to go through all of these. Just know that there's some that increase hunger, there's some that reduce hunger. But the way I remember it is these first three increase hunger: insulin, ghrelin, orexin. And I remember that with the phrase, I gobble Oreos. So insulin, ghrelin, orexin increase hunger, and then the hunger reducing ones, leptin and PYY, and those, the L and the P stand for less pizza. So up here, IGO, I gobble Oreos, and then hunger reducing, L leptin, PYY, less pizza. So just again, there's a lot of hormones. It's a really complicated interplay. The brain plays a role. I don't think we've talked about the hypothalamus so far this year. We've talked about a few other ones, but the hypothalamus is a part of the brain. Man, it does a lot of stuff. But for this unit, it helps control hunger. And so within the hypothalamus, there are two parts. There's the lateral and the ventromedial. The lateral hypothalamus actually stimulates eating. It stimulates the hunger hormones to tell your brain, to tell your body that, hey, you're hungry. So lateral hypothalamus, LH, large hunger, it increases hunger. And then the ventromedial hypothalamus, or VMH, leads to very minute or very minimal hunger. So it's going to reduce hunger. So it's going to reduce some of those, it's going to send those hormones out to tell you, hey, you've been eating enough, you're full, stop it. They've done some interesting study with rats. You can see the rats up here. But they did one where they reduced the lateral hypothalamus, and basically the rat refused to eat. They had to force feed it to keep it alive. So they lesioned off this part of the brain, and when they got rid of it, the rat basically just had no hunger at all. And then for some of the other ones, they took out their ventromedial hypothalamus. Basically, this led to the rat just eating and eating and eating. And honestly, this fat rat here doesn't even do it justice. I've seen some pictures in psych textbooks where these rats were like the size of like a mini basketball. I mean, they were just huge. They just never stopped eating. So suffice it to say, the brain plays a powerful role in eating, not just in like the way that we think and, you know, that kind of thing, but like controlling physically how much we want to eat beyond just, you know, whether we like food or not. So again, you can kind of see these are some of the things, you know, sometimes, you know, the biological stuff gets a little bit complicated and people just kind of like, whoa, there's so much here, but this kind of sums it up for you. This is a really important theory to understand, the set point theory. You know, we have a big problem in this country about shaming people that struggle with weight, but I think after you see this, you might change your tune a little bit if you're one of those people. So this is the set point theory. So basically, and there's evidence to back this, there is a theory out there that basically individuals have a weight thermostat. Basically, this is what they're supposed to weigh. So they have kind of like a set point or a set range, at least, of what they're supposed to weigh. And so let's say you're supposed to weigh 180 pounds. And so you go on a diet. When you go below that set point, your body says, whoa, 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 what are you doing? It increases your hunger. It, you know, increases some of those hunger hormones, and it lowers your metabolism. It slows down your metabolism so you can't burn off all the extra calories. So basically your body is going out of its way to fight you to get you back up to the set point. Now, is it possible to lose weight and keep it off? Yes, but most people that lose weight end up gaining pretty much all of it back. It's like over 90%. And a lot of that is due to this set point theory. Your body kind of gets tuned to like what it's supposed to weigh. Now, unfortunately, your set point can go up if, you know, it naturally goes up as you get older and your metabolism decreases. But also if you gain weight, your set point can tick up a little bit. But it's very difficult to lower your set point once it's gone up. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's very, very difficult. Because again, you increase the hunger and your body fights by lowering its metabolism to keep you where you are. Make sure you know about the basal metabolic rate. This is basically the number of calories you would burn if you did absolutely nothing. So you can actually go and get this tested with a doctor, and they can see if, you know, maybe your metabolism is where it's supposed to be or if it's slower than it's supposed to be, and, you know, see if there's anything they can do to help with that. But basal metabolic, this is how many calories your body burns if you don't do anything. So taking out exercise and all those kind of things. And so again, to relate it to set point, when you try to lose weight, your body lowers this to try to keep you where you are. And again, metabolism decreases with age. Enjoy that metabolism while you have it, because it's only going down from here. You hit about 20, it starts gradually going down, and it decreases about 10% every decade of your life. You can do the math on that, and so you can see where it's headed. Some other things that influence hunger, External cues, basically just the more food that's available, the more we tend to eat. I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people that if the food's not around, I actually do fairly well. But if you've ever had my wife as a teacher, she loves to bake and she's pretty damn good at it. And so I'm basically screwed. She cooks all the time, she bakes all the time, she's an amazing cook, and so it's hard because there's always good stuff around the house. Your mood can play a role. You know, if you're stressed or anxious or depressed, that can make you eat more. Unit bias. So the size of the cups, the size of the plates, those can all influence your hunger. So if you have bigger cups, you're going to drink more. If you have a bigger plate, you're probably going to put more food on that plate, and you guessed it, you're going to eat more. So this has been established. Presence of others. For most people, most of the time, we tend to eat more when there's more people around us. Not all the time, but most of the time. And the more variety of foods there are, the more we tend to eat. So think about if you go to a buffet, you're probably going to eat more than if you have like 2 or 3 things to choose from. We just have this natural tendency of like, ooh, I want to try that. And so you put all these little piles of stuff on your plate and you end up eating more. I'm not going to get too much. Obviously, there's different preferences in culture and what we find hungry, but that's pretty self-explanatory. We'll get to that later. Oh, one other thing I will say, we'll get to this in another unit, but food and neurotransmitters. So think about some of those chemicals in your brain that make you feel happy or sad or whatever. Serotonin and dopamine for now, we'll get more into it, but these are like the feel-good chemicals. Certain foods will spike those. And so again, you can get on some level kind of chemically addicted to food. So like chocolate can boost serotonin, it can boost dopamine. So it's not like crack, but you can get chemically addicted to that feeling. And so it's all the more reason why it's difficult to stop eating those foods. We kind of talked about this. Yes, set point in metabolism, how your body fights you. They've found that people who are, lean people tend to move more, fidget more, so they kind of burn more calories throughout the day than people that move less and have slower metabolisms. Genetics is probably the biggest predictor of your metabolism. If you want to predict how you will look body size wise when you're older, I'm not saying it's like predetermined, but looking at your parents is a pretty good predictor. Again, it's not set in stone, but that's one of the best predictors. Children and parents' weight, very strongly correlated. Other things, did you know that sleep deprivation makes you fat? It makes you gain weight, so get sleep. It actually alters some of those hormones when you don't sleep enough, and it can make you hungry and crave fatty foods and slow down your metabolism. And then just think about the society we live in. We sit in desks all day. We sit in offices all day. We're not out on the hunt, for our food. And there's, fast food on every corner. That was not a thing, honestly, even like 30 to 40 years ago. This is a really recent phenomenon, being able to just get, a McDonald's cheeseburger like within 5 minutes. It's just, there's so many more restaurants, and it's so much easier to indulge than it used to be, even when I was like a little kid. This is just kind of showing how obesity rates have changed over, again, even the last 40 years. So you can see, even when I was a kid, like, people were thinner. And there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of them are environmental, but there's actually some research that suggests that maybe our bodies are even changing a little bit. Some of the biomes in our stomach are even making us more prone to gaining weight because of some of the chemicals in food and those kind of things. I'll talk about this in class. I can't finish this up in 30 seconds because I'm going to run out of time. So Module 38, hunger, eating, weight gain, fascinating stuff. I'll have more things to say about it in class, but hope you enjoyed that, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.